Good morning everybody, this is Lara with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP and Solana. Sorry I didn't get to do a video for you yesterday. I was very busy in London and I'll be really busy again today, so I'm getting this done really early so I don't miss out for you. They're all still moving sideways. I mean, I am updating this every day, but there really isn't a lot new to say. So if you've got any questions about my analysis, why I choose these particular indicators or how I'm using them, or any of the methods or techniques or ideas that I've got here, please ask questions and comments. It gives me ideas for how to make this less boring and repetitive. Bitcoin's still in a big sideways rectangle pattern. It's swinging from resistance to support and back again. And note that when it does this, it's not doing it in straight lines. The swings from resistance to support are really choppy and overlapping. That's very, very typical of how price behaves within a consolidation. So here we've got an overshoot of support. That's another problem with rectangles. They have many false breakouts. An overshoot of support, an upward swing to resistance at 71,500, and now we've got a little bit of downward and sideways movement for the last few days. Now we could be seeing a downward swing to support and look for initial support at 60,700. Below that now 58,200. If you wanted to look for a downward breakout, if your own analysis is bearish or you have a bearish bias for Bitcoin, then I would recommend not just waiting for a close below 58,200, but looking for maybe 2 or 3 days away support in order to filter out any further potential false breakouts. Same for the upside. If we get a close above resistance at 73,100, I will be expecting it to have push from volume in order to have confidence in an upward breakout, and then I may use a 2 or 3 day away rule before I have real confidence that yes, this is a proper breakout and not just another false breakout like we had here, where price closed well below support and very quickly returned back within the consolidation. So that's one method you can use to filter out false breakouts, and rectangles have plenty of them. They are very time consuming and it is testing my patience. Don't know about yours, but my patience is now starting to get a little tested. The longer it goes on though, the thing we have to remember is this closer the breakout eventually is going to be. So it should be coming up sooner rather than later now. I was hoping for this week, but maybe another couple of weeks. The most recent strength is in upward sessions after that last low, so there is a little bit of strength in volume up off that low. When cryptocurrencies form sustained lows, they don't always show strength immediately. Sometimes it's days or even weeks after that you can see enough strength in range and volume to have confidence that that low will be sustained, and already we are seeing a little bit of strength in volume, and so that gives a little bit of support to the view that that last low is likely to remain intact. I've got a new small range for on-balance volume, but the lines are still diverging, so we might not get a signal from this new resistance and support line. If price continues sideways and this range continues further, the lines are going to get too far apart for a signal to be given, but I'll keep drawing your lines and keep hoping for a signal. ADX is declining. It previously told us there was an upward trend in that last upward swing. Currently no clear trend, but no indication of a trend change because the positive DX line remains above the negative DX line. With no clear trend and price remaining within that rectangle pattern, I'll use a model of stochastics plus support and resistance. That tells us because stochastics has reached overbought while price reached resistance simultaneously, we may now expect a downward swing from price to support and a downward movement from stochastics to reach oversold. And if they reach support and oversold simultaneously, that may be where a downward swing ends. But don't expect it to move in a straight line for price or stochastics. Stochastics can be quite choppy and overlapping, as price is also moving with choppy overlapping movement. Ethereum technicals, and we did update our Elliott Wave analysis for Ethereum yesterday for our membership. So if you want Elliott Wave for Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can get it, but you have to go to our website to get it. Looking for support still at 3,680. Price approached that with strength. A little bit of a decline in range here. Back tests of support now potentially starting to move up and away. Next resistance quite close above 4,100 to 4,200. I am expecting these lows, particularly this low for the 1st of May, to be very likely to remain intact for the long term. I'm expecting overall an upward trend from Ethereum, but don't expect price to move in a straight line. It's still going to have pullbacks and consolidations along the way, because there was a bullish reversal pattern and a hammer there, and now there's really strong increases in volume and range as prices moving higher. That is strength in upward movement, and that's exactly what we should expect to see for an early to mid stage of a bullish run. And when you see strength off lows, then you can have some confidence that those lows are likely to be sustained. This does not look like a bear market rally. This looks like a bullish run. ADX tells us there's an upward trend for Ethereum. It's now extreme because the black ADX line is above both DX lines, but only just, and there's such a long way to go before this reaches as extreme as it can get. RSI is back in neutral, no bearish divergence. Money flow also remains neutral. ATR continues to show an increase on average as price continues to move overall higher. So there is strength in range as a measure of volatility and in volume. That's exactly what you'd expect to see for a bullish run, and you don't tend to see that in bear market rallies. The Elliott Wave count for XRP remains the same, still expecting possibly a little C wave to move below the end of A, below 0.4788, probably not by much, to complete a little zigzag for minute wave 2. A, triangle for B. Now we need a 5-wave mode of structure for C to move at least at or below the end of A to avoid a truncation. Truncations are very rare, but minute wave 2 may not move beyond the start of 1, below 0.4309. I do expect this low for XRP of the 13th of April to remain intact. XRP has a big ascending triangle potentially unfolding. We need to see a break above resistance or below support before I'm able to calculate a target from the triangle for you, because classic ascending triangles are either continuation or reversal patterns. Ascending triangles most commonly break out upwards, so that is on balance of probability most likely, and that's what the Elliott Wave count expects. Although the Elliott Wave count expects a little pullback first before an upward breakout from this trend line, and that means that we may have to adjust the lower line for the ascending triangle if that's how it unfolds. Resistance is still holding at 54.55 cents. XRP's been unable to break above that. It had a false breakout here, and so I'm going to use the 3-day away rule here. If we see a close above 55 cents, I'll wait to see 3 days away from that area before I expect that's not a false breakout and an upward breakout is actually underway. And then next resistance will be expected at 60 cents. Currently support is expected to hold at 49 cents. The short-term volume profile for XRP is leaning very slightly bullish, but it's not as clear as Ethereum. There is a nice range for on-balance volume for XRP, and these lines are converging, so we will get a signal. The resistance line has 3, I think I'll maybe count this as a 4th test, so maybe 4 tests, and the support line has 3 tests. They have fairly shallow slopes and they are reasonably long held now, so there is some reasonable technical significance here. ADX is at a really low level. It's coming up from a low level from below both DX lines. If it reaches 15 with a positive slope, it's going to give us the strongest signal ADX can give, so that's exciting for XRP. Whichever DX line is on top at that stage will tell us what direction the trend is. We can't make a judgment about this at the moment because the DX lines are whipsawing, and they may continue to do so while ADX makes its way up to 15. RSI reached oversold at that low for the 13th of April, suggesting that that low is likely to be sustained. With no clear trend, the model of stochastics plus support and resistance would expect a downward swing for price to continue a bit lower towards support and stochastics to continue a bit lower, but it may not reach oversold. It didn't for the last downward swing, and it didn't reach overbought for the last upward swing either, so a slightly modified model there. Still have the same 2 Elliott Wave counts for Solana. This is the main Elliott Wave count. In order to have confidence in this Elliott Wave count, I want to see a full red daily candlestick below and not touching the lower edge of this channel that contains this upward zigzag for intermediate B, to have confidence that this zigzag may be complete and the next wave down may then be underway. I also want the alternate Elliott Wave count invalidated. We'll see that price point when we get to the next chart. I want to see those 2 things in order to have confidence in this main Elliott Wave count, because the alternate has more support from classic analysis. This wave count considers primary 4 continuing as a zigzag 5, 3, 5 labelled intermediate A, B, C. Intermediate B could be a zigzag labelled A, B, C, subdividing 5, 3, 5. Those subdivisions are important. Keep that in mind when we get to the next chart. Intermediate B may not move beyond the start of A above 209.69606, a new high by any amount at any time frame, and validates this wave count because that Elliott Wave rule is absolute. The alternate Elliott Wave count considers primary 4 could have been complete down here as a double combination, zigzag for intermediate W, X, expanded flat for intermediate Y. The problem here is the look of the combination. The subdivisions fit, all Elliott Wave rules are met, but the guideline telling us a combination should be a big sideways movement because the purpose of the second or third structure, if there is one, in a double or triple combination is to take up time and move price sideways. That guideline is not met. This very clearly has a strong counter trend slope. It is not a sideways movement. It should look more like that big rectangle on Bitcoin, but it doesn't, does it? It's got a strong slope. So that reduces the probability of this wave count in Elliott Wave terms. I have tried to see if I could fit this in as a C wave of an expanded flat, which begins off to the left of the chart, but that just won't work. So for Solana, if primary 4 began here, this is the only way I can see that it could be complete and meet all Elliott Wave rules. And so this wave count expects primary 5 of cycle 3 may have just begun, and I'll label intermediate 1 incomplete with minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now remember I said, remember the subdivisions of a zigzag. Zigzag is 5, 3, 5. An impulse also is subdividing 5, 3, 5, and then you have 3, 5. So ABC of a zigzag and 1, 2, 3 of an impulse subdivide exactly the same way. Third waves should be quite strong. C waves are in a third wave position. They can also be quite strong. So it can be absolutely impossible to tell which of the two scenarios is unfolding, and you have to use this Elliott Wave rule to tell the difference. Within an impulse, 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory below 158.37582. A new low by any amount at any time frame invalidates this alternate, and that is why I would then have some confidence in that main Elliott Wave count. I do know that some people like to say that in Frost and Prechter they note that sometimes that rule can be breached because sometimes in markets such as futures markets with extreme volatility, that rule is not always adhered to, but I really don't like breaking Elliott Wave rules, and I will not accept that rule to be broken in my work, because I think that if you're prepared to break Elliott Wave rules, you're prepared to allow your subjectivity to infiltrate your analysis, and it's important to be as objective as possible, especially when you have your own investments in the market, as I do with this one. So I'm not prepared to break that rule, so this is the price point where I discard this wave count, or I modify it, and I'll probably see 1, 2, 1, 2, but I don't like that look at all. If this wave count is correct, then a 5-wave impulse should continue higher. Minor 4 should be complete, and our minor 5 should continue higher. The target is 200 for minor 5 to reach equality in length with minor 1. Minor 3 is a bit shorter than 1.618, the length of minor 1. That's pretty short for a third wave for a cryptocurrency. A little bit of concern over this wave count for that, to be honest. Technicals for Solana, still finding resistance about 168. Look out for support to continue probably about 159. I'm going to add a new resistance line about 190. So we need to see that broken before we can expect upward movement to next resistance at 210. Recent strongest volume came on an upward session, and then prices moving lower and overall volume is declining. So for the short term, I'll read a bullish volume profile for Solana. ADX is declining. The positive DX line remains above the negative DX line, but no trend is indicated. But neither is a trend change indicated. At the last low for Solana, there is this bullish divergence between price and RSI. Although RSI didn't reach oversold, it got really close. This is a little bit of support to that alternate Elliott Wave count, and this mostly is why I say that alternate Elliott Wave count does have some support from classic analysis. The model of stochastics plus support and resistance, because ADX tells us there's no clear trend, would expect overall a downward swing of price to continue lower to support, and stochastics to continue lower to get close to or at oversold simultaneously. And that's it from me today with your update. I hope everyone's having a lovely day.